Hello class, this is Demetrius Wilson. We are now on chapter 8, discussing teamwork and communication in Business 100. So groups versus teams. A group comprised of two or more individuals who share common interests. So for instance, an informal group would be the smokers that meet outside 9:15 and they smoke a cigarette. A team is a group of people with different skills and different tasks who come together to work on a common project, service a goal, combining their functions and provide mutual support along the way. So if we take like a sports team, for instance, everybody on the Lakers doesn't do the same thing. You have a point guard, you have a power forward, you have a small forward, you have a center, you have a shooting guard, right? They all do different things. Do they do some of the things that are similar and some of the things that are the same sometimes? Yes, of course they do. But they each have a different role that's designated. These individuals, they have complementary skills who come together to achieve those specific goals. Companies use teams because they are effective means of achieving objectives and they bring increased efficiency to operations. A lot of times you go to high schools now, you'll see 4 desks put together. You see how people work in teams from the very beginning, and then they also work in teams when they get into the workforce. Different types of teams. You have manager-led, self-managed, cross-functional, virtual, and project teams. So manager-led team members complete the required tasks, but someone outside of the team performs the executive functions, meaning I'm telling you what to do, but you're actually carrying out the technical functions. There's an inevitable tension between the degree of manager control in a team and the ability of team members to guide and manage their own actions, right? So it's a good push and pull there. Manager-led teams provide more control, but they can also hamper creativity and individual expression because the manager says, well, my say-so is the last say-so that goes. Self-managed teams, a group of employees work together who are accountable for most or all aspects of their tasks, right? So they're self-managed, don't really have someone hovering over them. They determine how to accomplish the task. They decide what route they're going to take. They're responsible for planning, scheduling, organizing, and all of that. And they select their own members and evaluate their members' performance. Cross-functional teams, team members have different functional expertise, often come from different levels of organization, can come outside of organization as well. They're self-directed, focus on tasks that require input and the expertise of numerous departments. A lot of times you could be in a cross-functional team and you'll have your own manager, then you have your project manager as well. Virtual teams manage some of those also. Virtual team is a group of individuals in different geographic locations, use technology such as chat message, video chat to collaborate on work, tasks, and activities. It's a reduced cost of technology, support shift towards globalization in business, and offers flexibility around the logistics of doing business. A lot of times those individuals that work from home. Project teams. Project team is a team whose members usually belong to different groups but are assigned activities for the same project. So they come together, work on that project, then they go back to their respective corners. Typically for a defined period of time and are disbanded after the project is complete. Provide autonomy and flexibility. Consists of a variety of members working under the direction of a project manager. So that's how I refer to project manager as your manager at that time, but then you also have your regular manager as well. Team development, make sure you watch the video on that, the supplemental video. When teams are formed, they evolve from individuals into a cohesive unit. Stages of the team development are forming, storming, norming, performing, and then adjourning, which is the 5th step that was added on a little bit later. When Tuckman said, hey, there's another step that these groups are doing. So forming, bring together a group of individuals, focus on defining and assigning tasks, defining and assigning tasks, and then establish a schedule, organizing the team's work and other startup matters, and also focus on the scope of the team's purpose and the means of approaching it. So you form the group, you get it together. Storming clarifies team's activities and goals, determines how team members will work independently and collectively, and they brainstorm ideas, and also because it usually causes disruption, so that's why it's called storming. And storming is not bad, it's just part of the process. Number 3 is norming, focus on developing shared values about how team members will work together, address issues ranging from when to use certain modes of communication, such as email versus telephone, to how team meetings will be run and what to do when conflict arises, and it inevitably will. Norms become a way of simplifying choices and facilitating collaboration since members have a shared expectation about how they'll get their work done, right? These are the norms and this is how things flow. Performing, team members work together easily or independently and are able to communicate and coordinate effectively when progressing through stages 1 through 3. There are fewer time-consuming distractions. People come in, now we're a smooth functioning unit, and we just get right down to business based on interpersonal and group dynamics, leading to high motivation and confidence in their ability to attain goals. Then adjourning, that's the end. Don't cry or shed any tears, but the group is over, or the team is over. Last steps of completing the task and breaking up the team. Some work teams are ongoing, so they may not actually adjourn, but they may still participate in aspects of this stage, like winding up, a particularly intense period of collaboration, for example. Project-based teams that have been formed for a limited time period. This stage provides an opportunity to formally mark the end of the project and provides closure to the actual project as well. So in order to get team success, like what do? What differentiates a successful team from an unsuccessful one? Some of the hallmarks of successful teams include members can trust one another. They have common goals. Like if our goals aren't the same, we're not going to be on the same page and doing the same things. Define team roles and responsibilities, good communication, and group cohesion. That all equals team success. Communication is obviously important in relationships, business. Business communication is used to promote products, services, or organizations, or an organization, and includes behavior, advertising, public relations, event, corporate communication, research, and reputation management. Communicate early and often. Business communication may also refer to internal communication within the company. And effective communication within an organization is vital to building trust and job satisfaction among employees. So if they feel like you're not, communicating them in the most effective way, then they're not going to be happy campers. Effective communication, these are keys, is thoughtful, it's clear, right? It's a lot of jargon. It's clear. We know exactly what you're trying to say. It is specific, right? I said 4:00 p.m. on Saturday. It's brief and it's timely. That's effective communication. Now, of course, there are barriers to communication. Use of jargon, like I said, withholding information. Hierarchy can reduce the flow of communication. Right? It needs to come down quicker, but it just doesn't because other people aren't getting the messages. Lack of trust, physical barriers or disabilities, bias, filtering, and language and cultural differences. Those are all barriers to effective communication. Not barriers to miscommunication, but barriers to effective, actual working, functioning communication. Communication channels. Communication involves a sender, right? I'm sending this message to you, a message, what I'm saying to you, and a receiver, that would be you. That creates a channel. So the richest channels are face-to-face meeting, in-person oral presentation. Rich channels, online meeting, video conference, right? We're right there, even though it is like a computer screen in between. Lean channels, teleconference, phone call, voice message, video, FaceTime. And the leanest channel, a blog, report, brochure, newsletter, flyer, email, phone, text, social media, posts, things of that nature. It could be web-based in terms of communication channels. You have telephone and conference calls. Could be emails, so you have message boards and forums. It could also be letters. You have face-to-face meetings. All kind of different communication channels and ways to get things and your message across. Presentations, different ways to communicate internally and externally. So how do you choose a channel? So when deciding which communication channel to use, the following are some important factors to consider. Who is your audience? How long a time will it take to convey the information? The complexity of the actual message, need for a permanent record of communication, like is it something that we need to keep, or degree to which information is confidential, and then of course the cost of the communication. So how does communication flow? It can occur between different kinds of senders and receivers within and outside of an organization. Communication can flow upward, right? So I'm reporting up to the VP, what's going on. Downward, the VP is reporting something down to me. Horizontally, diagonally, right? So horizontal, we're just like right there on the same level. Diagonal, it's going that way, so it's coming from me to someone above me, but in a different position. And when I say a different position, meaning like a different position in terms of like what department they work for, internally and externally, as well as through different networks, both informal and also both formal and informal. So if you see right there, that's actually a great picture of it right there. So top manager, then you have three managers. So you have diagonal, because that is someone who reports to me, who is now communicating with you as a manager for something else. Right? So the diagram shows upward, downward, and diagonal communication. Horizontal communication is between people at the same level. So if you're at the same level, then your communication is horizontal. Formal communication is comprised of the communication that runs along the official lines of authority, right, the chain of command. Informal communication is comprised of communication that arises from social affiliation or social affiliation of members of an organization, right? So yeah, your formal communication is coming in the email mandate from the company. Informal communication, it just happens, you happen to bump into somebody, they have some information, social affiliation, members of an organization, any way that can happen. So it's just in informal terms, but informal, this is how it happens, this is how it's communicated, and this is how we determine that whether it's formal or informal communication. So formal is documented one way, initiated by management to employees, and occurs inside established channels. Informal, not documented, multi-directional, right? Could go a whole bunch of different directions between individuals of varying status, and occurs outside of established channels. Electronic communication, we are communicating electronically. And at work, I don't know how many people actually don't communicate electronically in terms of people in the office. The rise of information technology that makes business communication faster and more efficient brings unique and ethical challenges and risks, lots of viruses, lots of security issues, security breaches that come due to the fact that we're all participating in electronic communication. Are there risks? Of course, viruses, worms, phishing, Trojan horses, right? Ethical issues, employer and employee rights to employee email, right? They want to see what you've been sending in your email. HR use of technology to screen applicants, data collection about a person, and sale of that data to other companies. And that is it for Chapter 8. So make sure that you are doing all the applicable reading. Obviously, if you got this far, you watched the video. Make sure that you complete your quiz. And that should be it for Chapter 8. So pretty soon we'll be on to Chapter 9, and this class will continue to move very, very quickly at a very rapid pace. Thanks a lot, and hope you all have a great week.